Kickoff for the curtain raiser at the Seawolves MLR game. UW kicks off to Central Washington. Mark Powell here with you, here with Clint Lemkus calling the game. Clint, take it away, my friend.
Thanks, Mark. Great to be here. And we've got an early line out for UW in Central's half. Taken down, UW access into the midfield. Straight up, big carry by the big number 8 for UW. They hustle and bustle around the first ruck. Pass that ball out to the left. Big carries by the forwards early on, asking some real questions of the Central defense. And a big no-argue tackle from Central, welcoming the collision. The early exchanges will be interesting. These two teams excited to get after this encounter. A wonderful curtain raiser opportunity to showcase some talents as UW asks more questions and slowly edges on Central's 22. A ball goes astray, quickly regathered by UW. More forward play waiting, pod after pod. Quick show and go, accesses the blind side. UW still retaining possession. We're on about phase 9. So this is great continuity shown early on by UW as they continue to build the phases and apply pressure. Back into the midfield. Big one-off carries. No interchange play just yet. As they try access the wide channels, down 14 from UW. Big bump there down the left-hand side. They'll look to consolidate here. Referee says is a penalty for a high tackle. UW will be pleased with that effort early on after 13 phases that came to a halt due to a cynical infringement.
These two teams meeting, Clint, for about the third time this season, I believe. This is an unofficial match. The NCRC's official 15 season has ended, but this is a good opportunity to put on an exhibition match ahead of the Sabercats game. Seawolves game.
Great throw there and receipt by the UW, with followed on with a great maul straight into Central's 22. Central going to want to come up strong here and make sure that they've covered both sides of the field with a big pick and go by UW straight up the middle, making a good few yards, and over the line he goes.
And UW just putting the pressure on Central from the get-go, just marching that ball down the field and across the line for the try.
Mark, this is certainly proving to be an interesting encounter early on. Central was certainly speaking of this game throughout the week, wanting to stamp their authority early on. And likewise with UW, this is in their backyard, and they've been fortunate enough to draw first blood.
Indeed, this is in UW's backyard, probably just a few miles down the road from the UW campus to Starfire Stadium. A beautiful, nice stadium built for rugby here, and you can see the nice stands off in the background there. A really attractive location for the boys, for the lads to play in here today. And Clint, I looked away for a moment. Was the kick good?
Mark, not too sure. The cameraman was off screen, so we'll have to determine that. A kickoff here by Central doesn't quite travel the 10. Referee will give an option to UW, and it seems like they've selected the scrum. It must be said, Mark, this is a fantastic initiative by these two collegiate programs in conjunction with the home MLR team in the Seattle Seawolves. This gives a great opportunity for these players to exhibit their potential in front of some valuable eyes. As UW breaks away, clean ball off the scrum, they decide to go down the left-hand side, where they'll look to build similarly as they did early on. More forward play with big carries. Their ruck speed averaging at about 2.5 seconds. Into the midfield they go. More big carries, well consolidated by Central's defense, coming up as a black wall. And as we see the pressure from Central there, earning themselves, forcing a knock on and earning themselves a left field scrum mark.
So some good defense. Good defense here as they push the ball off to the far side of the field here. We're seeing the scrum come up, and believe that I believe that looks to be a UW scrum. No, I'm sorry, a CWU scrum.
And Central look to utilize this ball, their first real attacking opportunity, hovering on the halfway line. Be interesting to see how they get into their stride here and their attacking opportunity. Early on, they decide to go down the right-hand side, attacking that blind side, forcing UW to really span across the field and make sure that they're covering their bases. Central deciding they're not going anywhere after 3 phases and deciding to turn to the boot and put pressure on UW, who return the kick as Central jumps straight into the counter-attack with the foot onto the boot. An educated boot. Excellent by Central Washington, number 15.
Outstanding
Just
kick there by Central Washington, number 15, and if I'm not mistaken, that is a 50-22 as it bounced into touch. And it looks like I am mistaken, as UW is showing to receive the line out, but that kick pins UW deep in their own territory.
UW are going to want to make sure that they take care of their possession over here. Well executed line outs with a great carry, looking to set up any box kick opportunity to relieve some pressure. And they've opted for the sky. They've gone high with great kick chase. Central regather possession and attack straight up the middle. They've got options both sides of this ruck, left and right. They opt to go left with a great carry into the middle of the field. Keeps his feet, bumps one. The physical nature of this encounter is certainly there. One can't argue that the hits are coming in from both sides. The energy's high, the contact is fierce, and both teams asking questions of one another in the opening 8 minutes.
UW jumping out to the quick 7-0 lead, but Central now putting the pressure on them deep in their own territory as Central looks to ask that UW defense if they've got what it takes to hold the Wildcats back.
This being visit number 2 for Central into UW's 22. They're going to want to come away with points. One of the valuable stats that teams will look at is what is our return on investment upon every entry into the opponent's 22. Central's opted for a 5-man lineout, or a 5+1 rather, and they've gone straight to their structures of a maul. They break away, clean ball into the midfield. Someone needs to straighten the line, and rightly so, number 13. Straight up the middle, forcing options on both sides of the ruck. They opt to go right. They attack number 2 for Central, Jace Cook, with a great carry.
And Jace Cook just really having a stellar season. New to rugby this year, never played in high school. Just started last fall with the club when they formed, and he has really turned out to be an excellent rugby player for Central.
Central's captain's going to want to start asking some questions here, as the third penalty in the space of a minute and a half has just been awarded to Central as they go again. for a one-off runner up the left-hand side. Again, both options on both sides. They opt for underneath the poles in the midfield. Central's third phase after this penalty. They opt to go wide. There's gaps. There's an overlap. All he has to do is release, and over he goes. The number 12 from Central, Deacon Strom. Fantastic effort. He'll be pleased to get his name on the board for Central, Mark.
And Deacon Strom, another new player to Central, having joined back in the fall when the club first formed after having unfortunately lost their varsity status last year. But Deacon Strom, another player who's turned out to be one of the key players for this Central side. As you see the boys, the Wildcats keeping the pressure on, pushing UW deep into their own territory multiple times, and finally the line breaks for UW, and Central pushes it across to put 5 on the board as Jones slots it up the middle to tie this one up.
And what a fantastic passage of play there. Central earning 3 penalties, but equally as UW did in the opening exchanges, putting the phases together, asking questions of that purple wall. And we're certainly in for a wonderful exchange here at Starlight Stadium.
So both Central and the Wildcats having shown that the ability to find the holes in the opposing defense here, as the Wildcats prepare to, or as the Huskies prepare to kick off and restart this half. We'll see if we'll see how Central's offense fares against their defense here going forward.
Central going to want to make sure that they exit their lines. And they've done so with a break up the left-hand side, which has entered into the midfield. And a great step inside, outside. And Central, number 23, will take it all the way. And a big swan dive. He'll be really pleased with that. The young man, Imari Lawson, showing what he does best. Whether it's a dance floor or a rugby field, synonymous for Imari Lawson.
And Lawson really showing that speed that's been a big asset to the Wildcats this season. Imari, a third player that joined as a walk-on to the club, as Central only had 6 returning starters from the 2025 varsity side. So Imari Lawson quickly finding the hole, turning on the afterburners, and taking that one across the line. Central slots the conversion and will go up 14-7.
Huskies are going to want to put pressure on Central and make sure that they afford themselves an opportunity to equalize. UW opting to go deep left on this occasion with a big carry by Central's loose forwards. As they'll consolidate here, straight into the midfield, setting up the angle for the kicker. Central opting to string up a few phases inside their 22. This is interesting strategy. You would have thought that the lines would have been cleared by now, but as they go, they continue building into their 4th phase.
Central historically, at least under Thornley, was very disciplined about clearing their lines. If they would only take about 2 phases inside their own half of the field, and then they'd clear it out and go down and elect to play defense on the opposing end of the field rather than offense deep in that danger zone of their own. But sticking with it here, they draw the penalty, and Jones's kick for touch is going to put them in very good field position going forward here.
We've currently got a penalty count of 5 penalties to Central and 2 awarded to UW. So discipline for UW is certainly going to be something that they're going to want to clean up as this game continues. Central opting for a 4+1, or a 4-man lineout rather. That's the number 9. Great clean ball off the tail of the lineout. Affords a great attacking opportunity as Central tries to dart up the middle. Again, options on both sides. They'll continue go. Oh, they reverse to the right with a tip option, which opens some space up the right-hand side. Central certainly asking some great questions. Oh, and credit to UW, reading that breakdown really well and winning the penalty, relieving some pressure, Mark.
So this game thus far, almost a story of penalties as both teams starting to rack up the penalties. But that kick fails to find touch and gives Central the opportunity to return the favor with a deep, booming kick that's going to pin the Huskies deep in their own territory.
UW taking no foot off the gas to get straight into their counter-attacking structures as they get straight into phase play. Referee calling time off. I think he's seen a player that's gone down.
And it looks like we've got a couple of players that knocked heads. We first saw the UW player go to ground, and the trainer came out quickly, giving the sign that they had a head injury. And shortly afterwards, you saw a Central player take a knee. The zoom's a bit far out. I can't quite make out who that is. I believe that might be Zach Cummings, the wing. And as you see the trainer talking to him, taking a look at the backside of his head. But I believe we had a head knocker out there, Clint.
I hope it's nothing too serious. Two players that were certainly excited coming into this game, wanting to make the most of this opportunity. And I hope it's nothing too serious, but we do have to prioritize this aspect of the game.
Yeah, certainly sending well wishes to the young men. It looks like the Central player has walked off under his own power, but unfortunately that UW player is still being attended to by the trainer. So we're hopeful that his injury is not too serious. Central historically was a independent varsity side playing in CRAA Division 1A. Unfortunately, along with the women's team, lost the varsity status, had their varsity status pulled by the athletic department last year and had to drop down to club. You hear me say this a lot on every game, but just a lot of kudos to the rising seniors that to a man elected to return to Central for their final season and put a lot of work into forming a club, and a very identical story on the women's team side. So both teams reforming as D1 AA clubs playing within the Northwest Collegiate Rugby Conference. And as I said earlier, only 6 returning seniors on the side. The remaining numbers of the 23-man roster plus the non-roster reserves, all walk-ons that came in. A few had perhaps played in high school, but many of the players had never played before and showed that they picked up the game quickly under the guidance of Coach Emilio Carranza and the senior leadership of this side. And we are still attending to that injured UW player, really hoping that injury is not too bad, but always concerning when the trainer stays out this long.
Great to see him back on his feet as Coach Emilio goes over to usher him off the field. Sad to see him depart the field so early, but we certainly got to prioritize the young man's vitality at this stage in his career. So credit to Griffin Rice for having an outstanding opening 10 minutes, who sees himself to the sideline. We restart with a midfield scrum to UW. They've lined up in an interesting way down the right-hand side. They opt down to go down the left-hand side where they edge some space. Number 14 from UW doing well, getting the offload to maintain that continuity. They'll be straight into their forwards play with a pod here, with a great tip pass to access some additional meters. UW straight into the 22 here. This is where things get dangerous. For every visit that they've made into Central's 22, they 3 visits, drawing 7 points on their very first visit. So the strike rate is high. Their pick and goes where they scored in their opening try. They go again.
UW asking a lot of that crimson wall. See if that defense can hold.
And over they go. UW in for their second. Great patience, great continuity, sticking to what they know best. It's clearly a tactic, Mark, that they must have spoken about all week. A place where they are exploiting Central, close, narrow, and tight, before opting to release the ball into the wider channels, where they've earned themselves another 5 points, taking the tally to 12 points to 7.
And indeed, UW may have found a chink in the Central armor there, as they've exploited the same tactic twice to take the ball across the try line. And with a successful conversion here, which unfortunately I don't believe we're going to get to see the conversion, so I'm not sure if that will be good or not.
Central's really going to want to think about their defensive lines and pressure that they are managing to put up in their own 22, as the resistance that UW has been shown is certainly slight. And after 2 or 3 phases on both accounts, UW has drawn blood. And we kick off once again. Central opting to go right. Well fielded by the big UW lock. Pass back into the 22 with a great kick downfield. Let's see what Central can put together here. They've returned the kick with another great kick from number 15, Cale Goings.
Cale Goings showing that he's got a leg to rival number 10, Tane Jones, the senior, with a booming kick. Unfortunately, it takes a bounce and roll into touch and goal, and that's going to bring the ball back. Looks like the ref's awarding a UW scrum just about the 10-meter line, Central's 10-meter line.
So for all the viewers at home who have just joined us, we're at Starlight Stadium for the collegiate battle and the curtain raiser to the MLR game later on this evening. Currently, we have Central Washington in black playing from left to right, the University of Washington, or the Huskies, playing from right to left in purple, as Huskies managed to win their own ball, access into the midfield, and down the right-hand side, they've established early momentum here into Central's half once again with a quick offload, great tips option. Meters just being given away by Central on defense. They're certainly going to want to tighten up their defensive structures as UW continues to build pressure. Here they'll get into their structures that we've seen so many times with these one-off runners, and a great tip pass, great line by the number 12 from UW, who accesses space straight into what we've seen. Pick and go, pick and go. The pressure's mounting.
And we do see UW exploiting that same tactic and once again able to take the ball across the try line as they're perhaps found that chink in the armor in Central's defense. So Central's, as they move into halftime, is going to need to be asking themselves some hard questions about how and where UW has found this chink in the armor and see what kind of adjustments they're able to make to close that up.
You've got to give it to UW. They certainly have done their homework and sticking to what they know, playing within their means, and they're certainly earning the rewards. Central, on the other hand, have got some questions, as you've mentioned, Mark, to answer. And it must be said that their line speed on defense is certainly absent at the moment, allowing UW to catch the ball either static or with momentum and earn unanswered meters on every carry. So I'd like to see Central employ some consistent line speed and meet the ball carrier at source, cutting his momentum down, which may relieve some pressure and force some turnovers.
Great observation, Clint, and you're absolutely correct. As Central is to some extent allowing UW the opportunity to build up that momentum, to build up some speed, and just power the ball across. And they're definitely going to need to close down those gaps if they want to stay in this game.
Central opting to go deep into the 22 and well answered by the big loose forward from UW, carrying over the 22, earning 20 meters on his carry. And again, UW accessing the right channels and just stepping out into touch. Every time UW has touched the ball, they're certainly running with vigor. They're letting the Central counterparts know that they are here to play in all facets and all areas of the field.
So Central looks like they'll win the line out and go on the attack here, but it looks like I'm seeing an infraction there. That may kill the play.
Referee Eric not happy with the throw in by the looks of it, giving the option to UW, who have selected a scrum. Central giving away a freebie there after working really hard on defense to earn that optimal position to attack inside UW's half. They now leave themselves some work on defense to apply pressure and try to turn this ball over, whereas UW will want to utilize this and exit their half and put further pressure on Central. A quick show and go by UW as they access the midfield. Central putting great pressure on that breakdown, earning a well-rewarded turnover, and they'll go quickly, noticing some space in the back, but charged down by UW, who return the favor. Central back on the back foot, trying to return the meters up the middle. Great carry by the midfielder from Central Washington. Ruck speed is slowed down with a box kick, opting to go high for the sky, deep into UW's half. And once again, that ball has gone into touch and goal, where referee Eric will take proceedings. For all those at home that are unaware, if a ball is kicked and rolls over the touch and goal area at the back of the field, it's returned to where the ball was kicked and a scrum is awarded to the opposing side. The referee seems to think that there was an advantage for a cynical infringement and given the penalty to Central, who have opted for touch.
And Central making a good kick for touch, gaining quite a few meters there. That's going to give them a line out near the 22. We'll see if Central can win the line out this time. They bit of a mental error, lost the last line out and lost their opportunity to attack, but now a good line out, and it looks like Powell's going to come down with it, and they'll set a maul.
And Central off to their straight into their work, the forwards gaining a few meters, straight into their work with a few pick and goes as Central access the pod up the midfield. They're going to want to establish some pressure here and build the phases and ask some real questions of the UW's defensive line. Central continuing to build pressure up the left-hand side. Referee Eric coming back for an infringement at that previous breakdown, suggesting that there was the pillar from UW was offsides. Central's captain would want to use this opportunity to ask some questions of the official as we tally up the 7th penalty. 5 of the 7 awarded to Central within UW's 22.
So a really good tacking opportunity for Central coming off of this penalty, as Central now has a line out about the 5-meter line. So if they can win this one, set them all, they just might set 5 more on the board.
Chase Cook missing his target. And referee Eric suggesting that one was skew or a knock-on ensued. And has awarded a scrum to UW on their 5-meter line. So while Central may have missed their attacking opportunity on the 5-meter, they've certainly got 16 boots on the ground that can do some damage at scrum time.
Yeah, Central really kind of their own worst enemy there in the line-out as they squandered a beautiful opportunity for a maul. But look at this charge down. And we'll see if they can put the pressure on UW, as UW now is on the attack, pinned deep in their own territory, and that's always dangerous, Clint.
Certainly is, Mark. And well, we're seeing an interesting call here. We saw a charge down that occurred within touch and goal. And so while the passage of play occurred within touch and goal, we should be seeing a goal line dropout.
I was expecting a goal line dropout, but referee sees things differently. And Eric has brought it back out for a 22.
Anyway, we move on as Central regathered that ball and is straight into their attacking structures deep in their own half. Central carrying the ball up the midfield, finding a weak shoulder on the right-hand side as they continue into the wider structures. UW certainly making themselves felt at the breakdown and working really hard to come through the middle and making a quick turnover. Number 14 from UW, earning some great meters as he's done all afternoon up the left-hand side. And UW straight into their structures. Central likely frustrated. A lot of guys standing with hands on hips from Central. Slow to get back into that defensive line. And that certainly can happen as the morale dips after having the ball in great positions to attack and finding yourself on the back foot yet again. As UW continues to apply the pressure down the left-hand side here as they attack into the midfield. Strong carries, great leg drives. And again, noticing a weak gap straight up the middle, and Uvik goes left foot, right foot, and under the poles he goes to access another 5 points. Scintillating stuff, the vision from the maestro number 9 from UW as they extend their lead by what will arguably be another 7 points with the kick to come.
And UW again just finding those gaps in the CWU defense, and you saw a good step there at about the 5-meter line to deke the final defender and take that one across, dotting that one down, diving in just beneath the post. That conversion should be a bit of a chip kick. And unfortunately, with these robot cameras, they sometimes choose the wrong action to follow, so we're not going to actually see the kick. But with that one being a chip kick, I'm going to make an executive decision here and award that 2 points to UW. And that's going to give them a 10-point lead here as we're coming up on halftime.
I've said it before, and I'll say it again, Mark. The pillars around the rucks, every facet of play, UW have certainly noticed a vulnerability in the central defensive line and making it known not once, not twice, but on 3 or 4 occasions, earning 20 meters per carry as they snipe around the ruck and exploit that opportunity that presents again and again. Someone's got to take leadership in the central defense and close up that gap. As Central kicks off and opts to go shallow to the right-hand side as UW regathers with a strong carry by their second rower. And down the left they go with another great carry and a great latch, maintaining continuity. Fantastic stuff. Clearly something that's been coached in the UW. And a great offload out the back by number 15 from UW, prioritizing that continuity and earning themselves advantage, opting to go for the boot, and they'll come back for that advantage. On the 5-meter line, just outside the 10-meter, UW really starting to ask some good questions and apply some pressure.
UW definitely keeping the pressure on CWU here today as they're up 24-14, having finding those holes, finding those chinks in the armor, and really exploiting. Central really going to need to go into halftime and ask themselves some hard questions about what is it that they're missing that UW is seeing here that's allowed this UW side to go up by 10 points after scoring first, but Central then taking a early lead. UW has since put, if I'm not mistaken, 3 unanswered tries on the board.
UW kicking for touch, and they'll earn a penalty on the 22-meter line of Central's half.
So here with only about 2.5 minutes left, I mean, UW threatening from CWU's 22. And I lost track of the exact count, but they have had a pretty high success rate once they get into CWU's 22 here this evening.
The current strike rate is at 78% per entries and points scored. UW opting for a 5-man line out there, going for the second channel and straight into the midfield, intercepted by Amari. And one thing you can't teach is speed. And Amari finds himself in a place that's become familiar for him at Starlight Stadium, earning another 5 points. Straight under the poles. And exactly what Central would have ordered going into the back end of this first half. Fantastic vision by Omari Lawson.
Amari Lawson showing that in the short time he's been playing here, less than a year with Central, he's developed a good rugby IQ. And he anticipated that pass beautifully. And Amari Lawson, one of the fastest players on the field. And once he's got green in front of him, he is long gone, getting quite familiar with that tri-zone here. So he'll bring Central back within just a few points here as we're just about to wind down this first half. We're going to go in knotted up at halftime.
UW certainly lending towards running down the clock as they'll opt to go down the right-hand side. They opt to go deep, straight down near the threat of Amari Lawson, but caught by teammates who regathers and sets the phase play up. As Central once again are back into phase play deep in their own half, into the midfield, where they've made the kicking angle really tough for number 15, Kale Goings, allowing the counter-attack opportunity from UW straight up the right-hand side, who will try and maintain this continuity, eventually brought down to ground. And a pick and go to what we've seen all afternoon long, which has boded really well before Central forcing a knock-on, earning themselves a scrum on the left-hand side.
Central here now pinned, starting from their own 22. As we said previously, a dangerous place to be on the attack, deep in your own territory like this. I would anticipate that Central would try to clear this one out, but, you know, it looks to me like they may have lost that scrum.
UW certainly applying the pressure at scrum time, having done their work. The engine room firing for UW, putting additional pressure onto Central. Central on defense, the ball clearly turned over. Referee Eric will consult his AR on the far side. He was perhaps seen something. And a try awarded.
And indeed it was
UW.
a try awarded to UW here as the unofficial clock has expired on this half.
So Central, Amari Lawson firing back with one of their own. And to their dismay, they've allowed a soft try in from UW. But credit to UW for doing really well. They've taken every opportunity that's presented all afternoon in this first half. And their strike rate going up to 84% for the amount of times that they've entered Central's 22 and points earned.
So with an 84% strike rate there, Central's got to go into half here. Coach Carranza's going to have to be asking the boys, you know, what are you doing on defense? We can't be letting the Huskies get into the red zone as frequently, but more importantly, cannot be allowing them to score at such a high rate once they get there.
The officials will allow this to play out. There's clearly still time on their clock, perhaps from the injury that we saw early on. And so Central kicking, going down the right-hand side, managing to win that ball. That ball travels backwards as they get straight into their work down the right-hand side. Oh, I think Central was hard done by there. I think the ruck was formed by the time the hands were put in. But referee Eric, quick to award the penalty to UW, who have earned themselves a line out just inside their 10-meter line. They'll be slow to set up. No rush, as they'll be winding down the clock going into the halftime.
Yeah, Central likely looking to just run out the clock here on this one unless they get just a gift handed to them. And you see the attempt to look like an attempt to kick it out there, but charged down by Central twice in a row. And Central looking to make a statement here and perhaps put another 5 on the board here as time runs out.
Central knocking the ball on, which advantage is now being played to UW, who take their opportunity to attack down the right-hand side. Advantage over, and the official blows his whistle for halftime. What an interesting exchange we've seen here, Mark. An early exchange dominated by UW, hit back by Central, and UW scoring 3 unanswered tries, bouncing back with 2 of their own through Amari Lawson. But UW certainly applying the pressure in that first half.
UW really showing out here today. and putting the pressure on Central, showing that they're here to play as they jumped out to an early 7-0 lead. Central responded quickly to go up 14-0 with a couple of red zone trips turned into tries. But from that point onward, UW put, I believe, 4 unanswered tries on the board before Central put another score in late to stay within striking distance here. But we're going to go into halftime. UW up 29-21 over Central. Coach Carranza's got to be having a hard talk with the boys out there this afternoon.
No doubt. And I think both teams leading up to this curtain raiser would have spoken about the magnitude of this opportunity. Playing in front of a few potential scouts or eyes for any players that have aspirations of playing at the MLR level or at a high level in general. This opportunity is just another great game to demonstrate what their talents and skill levels are about. And UW certainly making the most of this opportunity. While the Central Washington, no excuses, would have had to travel over the pass and maybe a few tired legs after sitting on the bus. And let's hopefully they put that behind them going into the second half.
Absolutely. So Coach Carranza having a chat with the boys, UW's coach out there having a chat with the boys, and we're going to step away for just a few minutes, and we'll be back with the second half of this game shortly.
And welcome back, folks. For those that have joined us, we've got Central Washington against University of Washington in purple, playing from left to right as Central in black, who will be kicking off the second half, playing from right to left. Central opting to go left to kick the second half off at Starlight Stadium, playing in a curtain raiser before the MLR game to be played later on, the home field of the Seawolves, as UW exits with an intelligent kick down the right-hand side, Central straight into their counter-attack. First carry by Goings, who bounces his first man off. And a great carry by the loose field from Central before knocking the ball on. Bit of an unforced error, unfortunately, after a 20-meter carry. Referee Eric calling a scrum down to UW, giving them a great attacking opportunity just on their 10-meter line.
So, Clint, as the boys set for the scrum here, I want to give just a quick shout out to all the Sabre Bros out there in the stands. They're here watching this game, and they're for the Seawolves. There to cheer for the former SaberCats players. Houston SaberCats players now playing for the Seawolves as plays back on.
UW securing their ball at scrum time, opting to go down the right-hand side, who knocked the ball on. Advantage here for Central, who will access the right-hand side of the field. Amari Lawson getting his first touch of that second half, who was prolific in that first half. As Central's forwards get straight into it with great continuity with the offload into the midfield with a big, no argue, handoff by Chase Cook. They'll continue going down the left-hand skip pass. Amari Lawson beats one, beats two, left, right, and over he goes. Amari Lawson in for his hat-trick.
Amari Lawson, the hat trick, showing that he's got more than speed. He's got moves as well. Just a show and go, faked a poor defender out of his ankles and takes that one in. Amari Lawson's third try of the day.
If I was Central Washington, I'd be looking for Amari Lawson all day long. He's slippery than slope. He's more slippery than soap. And he weaves, and he's off his left foot, then he's off his right foot, and he's like a snake through grass. Every carry he makes is at least 5 to 10 meters. His running meters for today must be well over the 180 to 220 meter range. So Amari Lawson proving to be an absolute threat on attack for Central Washington. I'd certainly be wanting to get the ball in his hands more often in the second half.
Amari having scored 3 of Central's 4 tries here today. I'll second what you're saying 1,000%, Clint. Today is the Amari Lawson show. Get the ball in his hands.
UW with the ball in hand. They'll kick the next facet of playoff, opting to go straight down the center. As Central will return the favor with a great show and go. Midfield ruck opting to go down the right-hand side. Ball into the hands of Tate Jones, who opts to go to the boot deep into the 22-meter of UW, who will now find some space on the left-hand side as they counter-attack and back up to the halfway. 4 meters given up far too easily by Central with the advantage to come, opting to go for the boot deeper into Central's half. And just like that, seconds later, from being in their 22, UW is straight back into Central's half.
And rugby's such a fast game. Fortunes can change in a heartbeat, and we saw it right there as UW traverses almost the length of the field in a heartbeat with a couple of well-placed moves and kicks, and Central now deep in their own territory.
And they've just gone deep into their territory as UW has earned themselves a line out just outside the 22-meter of Central, where they have shown to be a real threat right throughout that first half. This will be a clear indicator if Central has spoken about some of their holes that they presented too easily in the first half. As UW wins their line out to their two jumper, easily straight into their maul structures, well stopped by Central.
Central looking to tighten up that defense in the red zone here in the second half of the game. They gave up far too many tries, far too much success to UW inside the 22.
Referee Eric saying he was going to give a penalty. I'm not quite sure. He indicated a high tackle. I wasn't quite sure where a high tackle would have occurred straight into the maul, but we move on as UW enter their infamous pick and goes, one man runners, edging forward. Central going to want to knuckle down and put their nose into this. They seem to have turned the ball over. Where official Eric has indicated that the ball was in touch and goal. Oh, I beg your pardon. The ball was in touch. Okay, refreshing. The officials having a chat on the sideline as we wait to hear the answer as they give the official gives feedback to both captains. Central seem to have earned a penalty. I'm not quite certain of the rationale. Nevertheless, Central will clear their lines and go for touch to relieve some pressure. Central will be pleased with that result because in the first half, going on track record, it would have been another 5 points for UW. Central certainly coming out on top in that instance and preventing UW from scoring additional points.
A bit of good fortune going Central's way there as they'll get an opportunity to move the ball out of their own dead zone. So we haven't seen them stifle UW inside the 22 many times today, but looks like we'll chalk one up on this sequence here and hopefully see the boys get back into active play here in a moment.
I just got word from the halftime thoughts from both packs. Both outfits indicating that, reminding themselves that they are at Starlight Stadium. And for these players, they realize that this is more than just a curtain raiser. It's an opportunity to be seen. And as we are in the early minutes of the second half, you can certainly feel the intent. Both sides understand that this is a statement game. With Central Washington and University of Washington, two programs looking to impose identity right until the end of this exchange.
And Central in particular, several of the young men there, the seniors, having had some professional playing hopes dashed with the loss of varsity status, not completely dashed, but certainly hampered, looking to take big advantage of this opportunity to play this curtain raiser in front of some MLR coaches and scouts.
Central clear their lines and take play just beyond their 22-meter. They'll want to be looking to Chase Cook will want to be looking to hit one of his second rowers with clean ball. As we see a few loose forwards lined up in the back line for Central Washington. Now, will they continue to attack and build up the phases deep into their own half as they win a clean line out? Or will they resort to the boot early and clear their lines and relieve pressure? Let's see what happens here as Central attacks into the left-hand side. And as predicted, they've opted for the boot and consolidated the counter-attack from UW. The black wall is up. The line speed was there in this instant with a gang tackle happening. And again, down the right-hand side, that's better line speed from Central Washington, stopping the ball carrier at source. And again, UW go with another one-off runner. And UW into the midfield, where their midfielder is off the left foot, onto the right foot, trying to step his way through, but eventually brought down. And again, the contact has certainly been fierce as we continue into the second half. No one taking a step down as UW go for the basketball pass over the top down the right-hand side, and the big number 8 with the big handoff, who earns himself 12 meters, attempting the continuity. Referee Eric saying that ball has gone backwards as UW enter Central's 22-meter yet again, asking some more questions as they edge closer to the uprights. Central getting off the line nice and quickly, catching the number 10 from UW behind the advantage line. And Central are going to want to be on their toes, ready to get off the line. No hands on hips or hands on knees. That's not the time for it. As UW continues the attempt at continuity, where the official indicates there was a knock-on and awarding a midfield scrum deep in Central's 22.
A bit of an interesting call there, Clint, as the knock-on went straight into the hands of the senior Malachi Takbian. I would have expected more of an advantage Central there, but in order to allow that steal to play out, but the ref does call the knock-on, and we'll have a scrum down to Central here pretty close to their own 22-meter line.
Both forwards pack not standing back, both realizing that this is where the game will likely be decided. Inches in the contact, not really meters in the space. The hard work done in the dark areas will determine where the space opens up. You earn the right to go wide. And right now, that's being built up front as Central feeds their scrum with a clean pickup at the back by the number 9, who earns himself a good 30 meters and opts for the boot. A great option here by Central. And the number 9 putting pressure on the number 15 from UW, who is onto his foot and brought down deep into UW's half. And the official awarding them a penalty. Central earned the right to be in a fantastic position. The number 9 from Central Washington, Malachi
Takbian showing great rugby IQ, great vision to see the gap and just scoot that ball right through it. And what a roll it took for Central deep into UW territory. Central earns 50, 60 plus meters on the exchange there, and they'll have UW pinned deep in their own territory.
And most impressive to stay composed at that at that breakdown, as Malachi prevents UW from any attempt at quick ball, putting so much pressure in the right ways, presenting a clear picture for the official, and earning himself a penalty. Central Washington are going to want to come away with points in this instance.
Central really putting the pressure on UW here with that exchange. It appears we may have a UW player being attended to by the trainers as Central's coaches come out and have a bit of word with the boys. The Water Boys come out. But Central really, Malachi Tagbian, putting the pressure on UW deep in their own territory. And Central now with a golden opportunity to erase this 1-point deficit and perhaps retake the lead in this match.
Again, we hope it's nothing too serious, as the UW player is attended to by the medics. We hope he's able to eventually pop up and walk it off.
I didn't quite see what occurred there that would give us some insight into the nature of the injury. I don't know if you happen to see anything there, Clint.
I didn't see anything myself, Mark. But what I did see was the difference between survival and dominance at the ruck, where UW trying to relieve some pressure in a chaotic moment as the black wall neared.
So we are certainly hoping for some good news here shortly, as this young man still on the ground being attended to out here by the trainers.
And folks, we are back as Central is awarded a scrum. Central will be feeding a scrum inside UW's 22, looking to maximize on this opportunity with options on both sides. Central's winger deep and flat, or flat and wide rather, on the right-hand side, with 3 attacking opportunities to the left. Mark, it will be interesting to see. In fact, it's UW scrum. I apologize.
And I wasn't sure if that was UW scrum or they stole the scrum from Central. I thought we had a Central scrum, but it did look like they passed the ball into touch. So Central may have a line out just meters out from the try line here.
Initially, I thought there was a penalty to Central before the stoppage of play, but we restarted with a UW scrum. Nevertheless, Central Washington's line out, 8 meters out. They'll want to capitalize on this fantastic tacking opportunity. Amari Lawson will be itching to get his hands on the ball as he awaits in midfield.
Clint, what do you call a hat trick +1?
I think you just call that scintillating and brilliant.
There you go. I would love to see one today, that's for sure.
Central's got an interesting formation.
So it does look like we're going to have a scrum here, not a line out.
Central's ball, they'll feed with an interesting formation. UW putting the pressure on with ball popping out the back. The back line from Central Washington trying to make the most of this opportunity to regain lost meters as they'll attack in the midfield. Amari Lawson just waiting on the outside shoulder of that pod that carried. Well defended by UW, who slowed that ball down. The official not happy with the offside line, blowing offsides. Central wanting to go quick and then pausing. Central 5 meters out as they continue to build pressure inside UW's 22. Central carrying some tired bodies out as we continue to build the phases into the second half. Central going to want to come away with points to narrow this gap as UW, this purple wall, stands tall and strong, forcing a knock-on, turning the ball over and earning themselves a scrum just inside their 22-meter. Central won't be happy with their efforts there.
UW really showing a tight defense there as Central is just knocking on the door, probably 10, perhaps 8 meters out, and UW forces the turnover and will take over, pinned deep in their own territory, still not out of danger, but in possession of the ball.
UW putting strong pressure on Central in that last scrum. Let's see if Central can return the favor. The ball pops out. They opt to attack down the left-hand side of the field. Nobody expected that. Central going to want to make the most. They've been given a gift here. And they say, don't look a gift horse in the mouth, as Central's forward straight up the middle, realizing that an opportunity went astray, and now they've got another opportunity to bounce back and score some points. They are 2 meters out as they opt to go with the pick and go. And official Eric consults his AR on the near side. What did you think, Mark? You think that one went over?
I am not sure. The lighting is getting bad as the sun begins to go down, but you see the boys running away. I believe that try has been awarded, Clint.
Mark, I think a penalty's been awarded to UW.
I think you're right.
I'm not sure of the infringement, but UW has cleared their lines. They've opted for touch. And they take play to just outside their 22-meter. Central going to want to apply pressure here and hopefully steal the ball at source. or force scrappy ball off the top of UW's lineout.
So Central with a golden opportunity just missed there as the penalty squashes the momentum. They are knocking on the door, and with that penalty and kick, UW now with the line out here around the 22-meter line.
UW opting for a four-man lineout, well executed. Ball goes into midfield, turnover by Central, up the midfield, and Central straight over the line for 5 more points of their own, hitting back for 5 more points. And look at the celebrations.
Central showing good presence of mind to stay on top of the play there, and stealing the ball on the short field, taking it in straight up the middle. Should be an easy chip shot for the conversion kick, and Central will move into the lead in this match.
You've got to give it to the black wall in that case. Just clinical, putting pressure, coming up as one, collective effort. As the ball went astray for UW with an easy pickup, which led to 5 more points. Central adding 2 extra points there with the kick, and easy in front of the poles, coming away with the full 7.
So with that add, Central takes their lead up to a 6-point lead. That's pretty small lead in rugby, as a converted try will reverse their fortunes. But Central, having been behind for the majority of this game, has clawed their way back to take a 6-point lead with about 20 minutes and 20 minutes and change left in this match, Clint.
And that's the difference, recognizing the moment and taking it. You don't get many, and chances like that, and they've certainly taken it well, as UW looks to kick off proceedings as we edge on halfway through the second half. UW opting to go shallow down the right-hand side as Central regathers. They'll want to clear their lines and relieve some pressure. I don't think they'll want to be looking to build phases deep in their own half. Central find a bit of space on the right-hand side. Yet they do continue. It's certainly part of their game plan to play rugby and play phases, whether it's deep in their half or deep in UW's half. It's high risk, high reward rugby where an unforced error comes, UW turning the ball over, playing advantage, and the referee awarding an opportunistic scrum rather, with great field position to UW.
UW once again threatening on Central's end of the field. They're not quite across the 22, a couple meters to go, but that strike efficiency inside Central's 22, very high for UW today, as they're going to look to try to put 7 more points on the board and retake the lead in this match.
UW feeds their scrum with clean ball emerging at the back. Scrappy pass, well picked up by the number 10. Great half break by the 12. Referee not happy with the infringement at the ruck, indicating that the loose head from UW stuck his left foot out and changed his angle. So in on the angle is the call from the official after the ball had emerged. I thought it was play on, but yet we come back and Central has kicked themselves down by relieving pressure straight onto UW's 10-meter line.
Great kick by Central to relieve that pressure, and now going to take the line out in UW's half of the field. Central looking to keep the pressure on and pad this lead, get out of that 6-point narrow zone.
Central opting for a 5-man line-out, giving themselves options in the back line with a great carry straight up the midfield, earning himself 10 meters. Chase Cook with another big carry. Maury Lawson skipped. He's going to be wanting to get his hands back on the ball. In this case, he's asked to put his head down and clear some bodies away from that ruck. As Central get back into their structures in midfield, there's space certainly in the backfield. Can Central have given the ball away at the breakdown? Clinical stuff from UW.
And just like that, UW turns the fortunes around, garnering the penalty against Central, and the kick for touch is going to take them about Central's 22. So UW with a good opportunity to go on the attack here as they're looking to close that 6-point gap.
The last sequence of play has been quite interesting. As Central had a lineouts on UW's 10-meter line, UW putting pressure, taking the play to the halfway, and then seizing the moment when nothing was on, stealing the ball, executing a fantastic 5-man lineout here, straight into their maul work, into Central's 22-meter, applying the pressure, doing what they do best. UW going to want to come away with points here. Can Central consolidate them as they fold around the ruck with good line speed? Central going to want to look up and identify the ball carriers for UW as the ball goes amiss, but regathered by UW. As Central get off the mark really quickly to stop the ball carrier at source, who eventually is brought down in the midfield, where UW aligned to attack down the left, short and narrow down the left-hand side of the field.
And Clint, we've got to be 7-8 phases in here, and that crimson wall has not given an inch. UW still at the 22-meter line after all of these phases. Central trying to hold on tight, deny them the 5 more points.
A lot of one-off runners for UW as they continue to edge forward deeper and deeper into Central's half, where again, the consistency from the official indicating that UW was off their feet at that breakdown, inhibiting the contest, and Central kicking themselves out of pressure once again, taking play just before the halfway.
Central really demonstrating that they did discuss at halftime and perhaps figure out how to close up the chink in the armor that UW had identified, and they hold UW many phases until they finally forced an error on them and able to relieve the pressure with the kick, as Central now at their own 10-meter line going on the attack, Clint.
Chase Cook finds his target. Ball goes into midfield where the first phase is set, and the ball straight onto the boot, noticing what seemed like space, but quickly closed up by UW as they get into their counter-attack opportunity. The official indicating a forward pass, and Central Washington earning a right field scrum just inside the half of UW. Mark, this is another opportunity where we were about 4 minutes ago. Can Central turn this around?
So this has really turned into a defensive struggle the last about 10 minutes of this match, as the teams are just beating each other senseless, moving back and forth here between the 22s, but denying each other the opportunity to penetrate that 22 and take the ball in for a try in the last 10 minutes or so.
Central feeding the ball, clean ball out the back. Number 10, Amari Lawson, with hands on his balls on the ball once again. He's quickly closed up that time and brought down. Central Washington attempting to utilize the space emerging on the left-hand side, only for a skip pass, or what was meant to be a skip pass, to be caught in a unforced error once again. And the tally for unforced errors on both sides are certainly creeping up.
Indeed they are, and Central's unforced error is going to give the ball back to UW just in the UW half of the field. So Central now needing to turn up that defense again, deny UW access to that midfield line and force a turnover so they can go back on the attack and see if they can't stretch this lead.
UW with strong dominance at their scrum again, accessing the midfield, running the ball, noticing some space down that left-hand side. Central Washington going to want to halt UW, which eventually they do, just inside their 10-meter line. The Crimson line up quickly, stopping the UW ball carrier behind the advantage line, and UW continue in waves of attack. Central only to be penalized.
The Wildcats making them work for it, but UW has advanced from their own 10 to Central's 10, and now with the penalty, that kick's going to find touch just about the 22, just inside the 22. So UW with another penetration, that 22-meter zone, and Central needs to tighten up that crimson wall and show they paid attention and made the appropriate changes at the half.
And as we edge on deeper into the second half, at this level, it's not about complexity. It's about execution under fatigue. As we see UW execute yet another five-man line out straight into their more work, what we've seen all afternoon. Deja vu as they pick up with their number 4 one-off runner straight down the middle.
UW really threatening at this point, having gotten into the 5-meter line. 5 meters out, the forwards going to work. Central, the Wildcats really need to tighten up that crimson wall.
The official halting play. I'm not sure what wasn't evident right in front of him that he needs to consult his far side AR. They'll have a conversation. As the pressure builds and both teams fighting hard to maintain and regain dominance, what sometimes looks simple from the outside is often the hardest thing to do repeatedly. As UW earns themselves yet again another penalty, and they'll go with a quick tap and go, earning themselves a try. UW over the line. The official indicating the big number 5 from UW stretches with his long arms and dots that ball down for another 5.
And so with that 5 conversion pending, UW now down by 1. Conversion should be pretty much a chip shot right up the middle like that. And so it looks like UW is going to take a 1-point lead here with about 12 minutes left to play in this match.
Those are the big moments that these players live for. And that right there is really the difference. UW finding themselves in Central's 22, recognizing the moment and taking it, where Central has entered into UW's half on 3 or 4 occasions in the second half and only come away with points on 1 or 2 occasions. They're going to want to turn that momentum into points as they look to restart things and put the ball in the right area. Central opting to go deep left with a strong crimson wall that's chasing down as UW returns by putting foot to ball or ball to foot. Central, number 15, which looks like Emilio Carrazzo, who has entered the field, attacking straight up the middle. Central with the skip pass into Amari Lawson's. And we know the danger of this man as he attacks down the left-hand side of the field, showing that scintillating speed, still on his feet, eventually brought down with options on both sides. Central are going to want to recycle this ball really quickly, opting to go left into Chase Cook's hands, managing to get the offload to maintain continuity. Central attacking. That's Tate Jones, ball in hand, tucked under the right hand, trying to find a weak shoulder. As Central's into their work again, they're going to want to look for some weak shoulders and some gaps. As they enter the 8th phase of this attacking play. And straight up the middle is Emilio Carrazza as he's straight on the poles. The number 15 replacement who's entered the field with his second touch of the game, adding his flavor with 5 points on the board. Central regaining the lead.
Carranza, the player coach, a product of, if I'm not mistaken, Lindenwood University, now in grad school, playing his final year of eligibility here with Central. And as you say, on his second touch of the game, he finds the seam that Central's been looking for up the middle and dives that one across to put Central back in the lead. This conversion will be a chip shot for Jones, and looks like Central will go back up by 6.
Good to see Chase Cook jumping back onto his feet after a bit of treatment. Both teams will want to dig deep as we go into the final minutes of what has been an emphatic encounter at Starlight Stadium. For those that have joined us deep in the second half, we've got Central Washington on the right-hand side in black, the Crimson Wildcats up against University of Washington Huskies in purple, playing from left to right in what has been an absolutely humdinger of a game. Central narrowly ahead, and UVic will want to fight hard to get their noses back in front. Oh, and Central has just given away a reprieve, and UW earning themselves a scrum deep in Central's 22 mark.
And that mistake, that's going to hurt. Central really needs to turn up the defense here to make up for the mental error there. Rugby just unforgiving as those small mental errors get pounced on by defenses, and that just a small mental error. The knock on sets the Huskies up. Looks to be 10, perhaps 12 meters out from the try line, but the Huskies have been dangerous inside the 22 today, and performance inside the 22 may turn out to be the deciding factor of this game as the Huskies go on the attack.
You'd think the leadership of an Emilio Carrazza at the backfield is echoing instructions, leading this crimson-black wall through their work on defense in an attempt to force some errors as UW goes to what they know best, which is their tight work with a well-drilled pack who will ask yet again, questions of this crimson deep defensive wall.
Central really needing to dig deep on defense here at the moment, nursing a narrow 6-point lead. They cannot afford to give up another try if they want to go home victorious from this one, Clint.
Absolutely. And UW's number 10 attacking and eventually brought down to ground. And again, a pick and go by their forward pack, who have really been the stalwarts of this UW outfit as they edge on closer and closer to Central's try. And the official indicating that there was an infringement for not rolling, awarding the penalty to UW.
And that penalty forces Central back to the try line to set up their defensive line. That's going to give UW an opportunity to dash forward, and they do. You can see them now mere inches away from the try line, looking to drive this one across and perhaps retake the lead.
And it seems like there's a decision here of some sort where There's a conversation occurring between the official and the penalty awarded to Central, who have relieved the pressure. And Tate Jones, with a fantastic kick, taking play just outside their 10-meter line, allowing Central players to have a deep breath, recalibrate.
Central digging deep and rewarded for their efforts with the penalty, able to relieve the pressure, kick that ball into touch beyond their own 10-meter line. Central will take a line out here, needing to go back on the attack as the pass is overthrown.
Chase Cook missing his target once again. Ball going into midfield, collected by UW's number 12, taken into contact. Central back into the defensive work. They'll need to maintain some urgent and quick line speed. Big carry from UW's number 12. I'm off. I don't have volume on. Are we live or? Are we live?
We're good.
Seems to be the theme of the day. Unforced errors on both sides, creeping above 15 each, earning Central a scrum feed just inside their own half. They'll want to utilize this opportunity. Oh, and Central number 9, Malachi, knocking the ball on, but nevertheless, the official not happy with the scrumming angle, which has given UW yet another penalty inside Central Washington's half.
And you see the celebration on the side of UW as they smell the chum in the water here with about 2.5 minutes left to play. Of course, we've got the unofficial clock here, the ref keeping injury time and whatnot. I did try to reset that, but unofficial clock's going to be a bit off. But nearing the waning minutes of this game, you can see Washington feeling the opportunity to retake the lead here with a scrum near the 22, a line out near the 22.
As UW go to what they know best, 5-man line out straight into a maul. This is their 6th or 7th visit into Central's 22 in the last 2 minutes, which is certainly a better ratio for Central in terms of their defensive outcomes. But UW, once again, resorting to their one-off runners and their tight phase play, which has earned them so many rewards throughout this exchange. The official once again rewarding them for a player not rolling away. Surprised the card hasn't been issued at this point. But nevertheless, UW straight into their work with a quick tap and go, edging closer and closer as the ball spits out. And another penalty awarded to UW for what looked like a player holding the ball. I beg your pardon. The official calling the trainers onto the field for some medical assistance. Mark, this has certainly been a fantastic exchange with momentum swaying and both teams giving it their all today.
Despite the NCRC season having officially ended, this is probably one of the most exciting games we've seen all season, as both teams out here fighting hard, looking to impress some MLR coaches and scouts on the field for this exhibition match. And we've seen the lead change hands no fewer than 5 times, if I'm not mistaken. So this one, a real humdinger of a match.
Certainly a strong showing from both outfits, built on effort and clarity of role. Plenty to take from that, but also clear there are areas to sharpen for both outfits. As UW taps and goes, yet again, for what is attempt number 10 in the last dying minutes of the second half. Central Washington, the Crimson Wall, going to want to stand tall and strong, maintaining their line speed, stopping the ball carrier at source. This is where big moments are decided. As UW edge on closer and beckon right under the uprights.
Central really in a dangerous spot right now. UW knocking on the door right beneath the uprights, trying to put 7 points on the board to recapture that 1-point lead.
We're likely into the last few phases of play, which will be played out in this game. Central seem to be celebrating for what looks like a knock-on, and referee Eric has concluded proceedings at Starlight Stadium, giving Central Washington University a victory over University of Washington Huskies.
And the final score here, 42-36, an absolute banger of a match. UW jumps out to an early lead. Central answers with 2 tries to retake the lead of their own. Then UW 3 unanswered tries in the first half before Central claws their way back early in the second. And then at that point, I believe we had 3 lead changes during the second half alone as that Central wall digs deep, digs for fitness, for determination to hold steady as UW moves and strives deep into their territory over and over again in this second half. But at the end of the day, Central hanging on to the narrow 6-point margin, and they'll take home the victory here today against UW, 42-36. As we watch the camera pan over and catch the Central players lining up for perhaps a photo underneath the post. UW reflecting on a narrow loss on their part, but both teams really showing out for the MLR coaches and scouts out there today. Just an absolute banger of a match, and it's been my pleasure to call this with you today, Clint.
Absolutely, Mark. Thank you for the opportunity. Thank you for all our listeners who are joining us from far and wide, whether out of country, in country. Thank you for affording us the opportunity to be with us today in what has been, as Mark has mentioned, an emphatic encounter which had it all on defense and attack on both sides of the ball, where 2 collegiate programs within the state have gone head-to-head on a platform of which we intend to see many more collegiate games being played.
A shout out to the Seawolves for allowing the lads to participate in this curtain raiser. And with that, Mark Powell and Clint Lemkus, thank you for watching the match here with us today, and thank you for tuning in to Rampant Sports Media. Looking forward to more games in the future. Clint, it's been a pleasure.